Hey guys, welcome back. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It's here. Friday's here. We got the whole weekend to look forward to. This week, we're going to be taking a break, if you couldn't tell from the title. Taking a break from the fake booster case and J-Boys. Don't worry, we didn't forget about them. We now have J-Boy channel emotes as a reminder. I ask that you guys show me some J-Boys in the chat, in the comment section. Let's try them out. I forgot the graded card of the week last week. I don't know how that happened, but when I was assembling the video, not only did I forget to record that segment, but it wasn't even included. So regardless, forgot about it. But it's okay. We're going to make up for it this week with a ton of graded oopsies in this one. Let's go over the videos that were published this week, at least the main ones, the big boy videos. We got, first off, we cracked another slab for the first edition base binder, episode number 4. I somehow labeled that number 3. There were two number 3 that's there for a while, but Blasty caught that, so it's okay. We're fixed now. It's number 4. Number 4 this week. It's a real shame that I didn't record cracking a lot of the ones prior to, but it wasn't on YouTube then, so what are you going to do? Next up, we have CGC and PWCC now offering Junk Slab speedrun service. So that's basically my take from the announcement the week prior that PWCC and CGC are partnering. So basically you send your cards ungraded to PWCC, they send them to CGC, CGC grades them, charges you $20, sends them back to PWCC and auctions them right away. So this would have been a great service back when you could grade your stepdad's used condoms and they'd come back as CGC 8.5 and you could sell them at a huge premium. At this point in time, not so good. And again, a lot of this video is outlining how I think that this is probably a little bit of a noob trap, that there's going to be a lot of cards that don't end up making enough money, or a lot of cards that, if they're valuable enough that they can potentially make money, it's probably not worth the risk. So in my opinion, terrible idea, and a little bit of a trap there for someone that might not know any better. Again, feel free to prove me wrong. I'd love to see some success stories, and no, I don't want to see the one card out of 45 that you send in that makes money. I want to see them all. So show those to me. I'd be happy to take a look. You might as well buy a scratch-off ticket. It's to that level, in my opinion. Then we have another video based on an E4 thread by Eevee Team. Ideas for improving the Pokemon TCG experience, where people kind of give their say their say about what they would do to, you got to improve the Pokemon TCG. Also, very cool to see a lot of people commenting on that one about what they would change, what they would do, how they would change it, or how they would improve, or what they would enjoy more. So there's a lot of overlap in terms of I think if the thread keeps going, but at the same time it's cool to see the opinions of others. This is almost like the popular opinions thread instead of the unpopular opinions. So a little change of pace with that one. And then last but not least, not shown on the screen, we have a video about a certain person that accused PokeRev of stealing their viewers from their live stream, telling them to go to his. It ended up being a fake account and or staged. So that's pretty much that. That was yesterday. If you haven't seen that yet, it is not on screen, but another one that you probably want to take a look at. Drama, yeah, definitely drama, but at the same time, I feel like it definitely needed clarification that it did not receive, and at the same time, it's a good learning opportunity for everyone, both the people that blindly trusted the accusation, the person that made the accusation, the people that received the accusation, because it was not just PokeRev. It was, the name wasn't named, but then it turned into guess who is, the evil devil. And we're not about that. We go after real people, real criminals, real people that are taking advantage of others. I don't care if you have different opinions than mine. as long as you're not harming other people in the hobby, you're probably safe. You're probably not going to get a rattle video, at least not one of the negative ones that you probably don't want to be part of. But today, this is the opposite of that. This person is ripping everyone off, and we're going to put a stop to it. All right, so today's investigation, which was already kind of started in a way, as we'll see, I had somebody anonymous reach out to me on Instagram and Discord, probably the best way to contact me. And in their, I guess, explanation, we have a scammeroni fake stamping first edition cards. First edition base mainly, but also anything else that, you know, doesn't have a first edition stamp, they're adding it to it when appropriate. And so it's already an issue. They've noticed the issue. They referenced this video here by Orion Series. I think he mentions me in the video. Again, guys, if you have any issues, best place to reach me is Discord or Instagram DMs. I'm way behind on them, but that's where I'm going to check first and where I'm going to first get caught up on. So as they notice, fake first edition stamps, definitely fake first edition stamps. But the most interesting part here is the fact that the scammer mentioned our boy, Arjun Dhillon, was already part of a video. He already had a rattle video because he was resealing or using fake wrap on vintage booster boxes and sold a fake Charizard Gold Star. So I'll put a link to that video up here in the top here somewhere, and you can watch that later. But don't worry if you missed that one, which I'm sure a lot of you have. It's okay. We're going to go back here. We're going to do a little summary. We have I guess the first incident here, the first of my hearing of our boy Arjun was through this Crunchy CT account. Swolepoke was offered some boxes, and he noticed right away that this person is resealing them and that he was trying to unload them. And we have the Instagram DMs with Arjun here, our boy, talking to Swole, not getting his story straight, basically making up some garbage, some typical scammer garbage, where he got the boxes from, stuff like that. The reason why he wants to sell them but doesn't want to sell them to a store that said they were authentic is because they only wanted to give credit. That's a BS story if I've ever heard one. But also interesting that he was on E4 and he's always asking about sealed product, trying to do research or test to see if people will notice if his fake stuff is fake, if his real stuff is real. And he went by the name JChung81, which is interesting because that is not his typical name that he uses, which is his actual name. This is a terrible criminal, and he didn't cover his trail whatsoever. So it made this investigation extremely easy, but trying to undo the wrongs that he's done is going to be the hardest part. That's what I'm going to need you guys to work on. That's what we're going to have to reach out to everyone and anyone who got absolutely butt-fucked by this stuff, by this forged and, you know, fraud items that he's producing. Some sealed product, now mostly first edition based stamps, some graded, some not graded. It's a mess. We're going to have to track it all down and do something about it. So here we go. We have a very damaged box with a very pristine wrap. This is his pass at what would be a resealed box. It's the wrap, the stupid wrap from Etsy that is clearly not the same thing. But again, people are gonna fall for this, and we gotta step in here. Here's another one where you have extreme box damage, but somehow the wrap on the outside is mint condition because it came straight from China. And here I think we get the set of 4, and his name down at the bottom with the time stamp. So there's the Crunchy CT eBay account. So this is good to keep in mind because he has another eBay account that he's currently using. The Crunchy CT one got banned. Originally it was selling clothing. As we saw with the Swolepoke messages, he's claiming that he's just using a friend's account. He didn't have an eBay account, but he can't get the story straight. And apparently she's selling clothes, but she's also selling the first edition Pokemon cards, and he's selling the sealed booster boxes that he happened to come across in a storage locker. Chances are, if somebody tells you a story about a storage locker or anything along those lines that kind of removes themselves from the story itself, probably a fib. Now here's the fake. So this is another issue. It seems like there was only the one fake Pokemon card that was sold through that original eBay account. It looks like he now has more that he's made. I'd like to get my hands on some of the fakes, but we can see from the images here, from the high quality eBay images from the sold listing, I still haven't tracked down or found out whether or not the person that purchased this card got their money back. I really hope that they did, and I really hope that everyone does that's involved with this, because it's got to be 100 plus people, 100 plus counterfeit or altered cards that he's been selling at this point in time. We're going to take a look through all of those. But yeah, this Charizard, as you can tell here, super fuzzy. That's a home job. So as I tell you guys on this channel, if you haven't already, watch the guides on how to tell if your Pokemon cards are real or fake. Even if they're graded, you should still be checking this if you're spending this much money on a Pokemon card. You should know. You should buy the $2 to $4 jeweler's loop and be able to say, yes, with certainty, this is a real card. This isn't some crap that somebody printed out. I tell you to check your pee hole for a reason. This is a bad pee hole. This is what a bad pee hole looks like. And here's our boy Arjun, the scammeroni. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking, but this has got to stop. All right, so you might ask, Rattle, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to stop him? Well, we're in touch with the FBI, and I'm going to ask anyone that has been scammed by Arjun to send me an email at this catch-all email address that I've set up, ArjunIsADick@gmail.com. Send me the entirety of your information, what he sold you, what he traded you, and we'll get this settled. We're going to send all the information along. It's clear that he's stolen upwards of 100,000, at least in just the examples that we're going to take a look at today. And it could be much more than that, because he's doing deals on eBay on multiple accounts. This is the second account that I've tracked down that we're looking at now, or that we're going to take a look at. And yeah, this has got to stop. It's going to stop. We're going to stop it. There's a lot of people that got taken advantage of. There's a lot of people that complain about, so-and-so is harming the community, everything else. This is the real harm. This is the shit that we're going to stop right now. This is, if you know anyone that has any of these cards, if anyone can track any of these down, we need all and any of the information. The ones that were graded by PSA and AGS, do not crack them out of the case. For the love of God, leave them in the case. Do not crack them and check if they're real or not. If they came from him, it's almost certainly fake. It's a fake stamp or a fake card. Well, I guess the fake cards wouldn't be graded. He's selling fake cards as well. He's scamming every possible Pokemon scam that's ever existed. If he sold you a box of cards, it's probably fake as well. We need to get all the information together, and we need to bundle it up in a nice package for the FBI. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I don't feel bad in the least. You've ripped a ton of people off. You're taking advantage of people, and we're ending that. It's over. It's absolutely over. There's a difference between a little scammerino, and this guy is just hosing everyone in sight. So here's the updated. You guys remember the Crunchy CT eBay account that was banned. Now he's on Crunchy Cards, conveniently created only a day apart from this Crunchy Cards eBay account, which is not banned. So when eBay is like, oh yeah, we're going to protect you guys, don't worry, we're going to get the verifiers to verify the verification, they're full of shit. This is easy shit. They probably have his name. It's the exact same name. He's made purchases on this. We verified that through channels, who he's purchased from. We've reached out to them. We found out what he was doing. He's buying anything and everything, trading for anything and everything without a stamp on it that could possibly have a stamp on it, adding his own stamps. This is the biggest part of his scam, and he's just rinse and repeat over and over again. He managed to slip them through the grading companies the ones that you're supposed to be trusting for authentication, they failed. AGS failed, PSA failed. I don't know if any of the other grading companies failed. CGC caught it. At least some examples that I've seen. So you got to give them props for that. But at the same time, this is stuff that you shouldn't be missing. This is stuff that you have to be catching. And not to mention the fact that why the fuck are you not watching my videos as a grading company? His name was already in there. I know there's only 2,600 views or something on that video. But just watch my video and see, hey, look, Arjun is submitting cards to us. We should probably double check them. It's that easy. It's that just all you have to do. Watch my videos. I name a scammer. You check to see if the scammer is submitting cards to you. You save everyone a lot of time and effort. This is an absolute mess at this point, and it should have been avoided from the start. It's free of charge to watch the videos, whether you're a grading company or you're just anyone that's watching that just wants to be more knowledgeable about this stuff. I suggest everyone share this with other people. At least share the information in terms of, hey, if you have AGS, if you come across anyone in the wild that has this stuff, send them the link. Send them the catch-all email address. Again, ArjunIsADick@gmail.com. Very fitting. But yeah, so here we see he's also scamming people on gold strip shadowless decks, but he was resealing or putting his own seal on. And then he's like, oopsie doopsie, if the person discovers it. He's like, don't leave negative feedback, please, because everything that he's doing is a scam, and it's sad that everyone is falling for it. Here's his Crunchy CT Instagram account. Sorry, page not available, so it's either hidden or deleted. Here's his Twitter that's still active. It's weird that he seems to have a normal life. He was in some kind of ethics group of, I don't understand how you're in a group about ethics, discussing ethics and everything else, but you are maybe the least ethical person featured on the channel so far. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. There might be worse, but at the same time. So here's a real first edition stamp, Thin Boy. For reference, I want you guys to ingrain this into your eyeballs. Again, if you're ever unsure if something is real, if something looks off, whether it's a box, whether it's a card, anything else, there are plenty of images online. So if you don't have one in front of you, there are plenty of images online of the real deal. If it looks different from the real deal, reach out to somebody that will know why there is a case there it looks different from the real deal. I've covered on this channel before. First edition stamps, whether they're thick, whether they're thin, that's the only variation. Basically, you can have gray stamps and stuff, but they're always in the same spot. They're always very, very consistent. They're painfully consistent. I don't think I've ever seen a real stamp that's in the wrong spot, other than like pre-release and whatever, where the cards get put in upside down. But first edition stamp, always there, always right there. You can line it up with all of the things around it. It's always the same size. It's always in the same spot. Number one indicator. You can see it across the room in a lot of these. Here's a thick boy, same thing, same spot. Difference being I guess the area that is carved out here. Same thing. That's the only two. It's only in base set. Everything else, refer to the actual set that you're looking at to verify the fact that it's a real stamp. So let's look at the PSA examples first here. This one sold for $5,212. Warning, guys, this is going to take a while to get through these, but I think it's important. Again, if you know any of the accounts that purchase these, if you know of anyone or you see any of these show up, please do your best to send them in my direction. We gotta get all of this logged. We gotta get everyone their money back. That's the end goal here. Everyone their money back. That's it. The grading companies, PSA, AGS, they're gonna look after the people that still have them in the cases. It was their mistake, but at the same time, if you have anything that's raw that you got from them, a seal product or anything like that, same thing. So let's take a look at the Charizard. We look up extra close here. Does that look like the last two examples that we looked at? It doesn't. It looks like shit. It looks like shit. How this got graded, don't ask me. Someone was sniffing something. So here's this example here, the PSA 6, which is bad enough, but still active on the website. at the time of my research. Hopefully they deactivate that, which will also be an indicator. And hopefully we can get a list of all the PSA cards that are of concern. We have the 8 here. So the 8 is interesting because that was traded for a bunch of cards. Typically when he's trading for cards, you guessed it, he's trading for cards without stamps on them that he can add stamps to. So everything this guy does, everything he submits, everything that he's trying to trade is modified or fake. You can almost, I haven't seen an example yet of a legitimate card that he's either graded or sold. There's no purpose in him doing that. He'd much rather get the extra bonus bucks from everything else. So here is a full list of the AGS cards, everything from 11801 to 11843. If you have any of those, for the love of God, send an email to the email. I'll put it in the description as well, just in case you guys need to copy paste it. But yeah, ArjunIsADick@gmail.com if you have any of these. AGS is going to look after you. I've talked to them. PSA is going to cover you under their guarantee. But yeah, we got to get this resolved. Do not crack any of these out of the case. I know that sometimes people like to cross grade or like regrade. Do not, for the love of God, do not crack them out of the case. That's kind of the most urgent thing here. Make sure everyone knows. Don't crack them out of the case if they're any of these cards. Because you're going to send them elsewhere. They're going to fail to get graded. It's going to make it even worse. So here we go. Let's look through the AGS examples. We'll give the stamps a look. So if you can't already tell, we're in the wrong spot. We're either smudgy in certain areas, everything else. We'll ream through these real quick. I don't know why I had the Hitmonchan example there first. At the time of investigating, or when I started investigating, he had the 3 cards listed here. Again, he's still listing cards. Hopefully eBay shuts this down before it gets even worse. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. We got you guessed it, everything he's selling is first edition base, because guess why? He is using a thermal printer to put first edition stamps on these. Some of them better than others. Most of them are pretty fucking bad. So we have shadowless Nidoking here. And yeah, the stamp's not even close to the right spot or the right size. I could identify that from across the room. Another Charizard here. Lots of Charizards. Again, it's a lot of practice and just enough looking at cards. These, to anyone experienced, should look off as soon as you look at them. Somebody that's grading these cards and looking at them every day should have no problem identifying these. I get that mistakes are going to happen, but there's a lot of ways that this could have been avoided. Create a ban list based on the people that I call scammers. Especially in this case where there's clearly a scammer. There's no like hiding it. The dude is stamping these things and submitting them to grading companies and selling them raw, graded, whatever. He's scammed in other ways in the past. He's still scamming. I can blatantly say that he's scamming. I don't even have to use my words carefully because the dude is just straight up committing fraud. That's all there is to it. We got the Chansey here. Yeah, there's a ton of cards. There, you see the stamp in a different spot every time, different sizes. This one's nice and smudgy. Probably one of the better ones. Different spot every time. Another Charizard. The Charizard's definitely hurt. Venusaur in an 8. We got a Mewtwo here. And a 7.5. Venusaur in a 7. Alakazam in a 6. Mewtwo in a 6.5. There's one Mewtwo here that is he definitely fucked it up worse than anything else. Here we have just an atrocious stamp next to the atrocious Pokemon. Again, guys, if you're not certain on this stuff, I know a lot of people rely on the grading company to catch this stuff. But if you're buying this stuff, just take the time to learn it and to compare. a lot of scary shit. Like, this is terrible. So that's a real bad one there. We got Gyarados here. So we're into the raw cards. So it looks like he was doing raw cards. Now remember, if we're looking into the Neo sets or anything other than base, you gotta compare with the set itself to know the location size, and you gotta compare set to set. They aren't identical to the base set, so that's why that one's way off in the distance. Our Clefairy here is definitely not in the right spot. Nidoking, not even close. And again, it's all practice too, so it's not practice, it's just getting yourself used to looking at this stuff. Under magnification, it's going to be even worse. We've got a Pikachu, red cheek, shadowless Pikachu with a stamp added to it. We got a Hitmonchan. I don't know if this is the same Hitmonchan as before. Raw Hitmonchan. Oh no, the other one was graded. Raw Hitmonchan, so he was selling them graded primarily. This is the worst one. This is Mewtwo here. I'm sorry, Mewtwo, but he really botched this one. And the worst part is that it's still sold. So someone still got ripped off, even though that looks like it's made it a Play-Doh. All right, first edition Shadowless base set Pokemon complete non-holo set. So I guess he went through the time, took the time to actually just stamp an entire Shadowless base set. We got another Mewtwo. This one still pretty bad. It should never be bleeding in like that. Not to mention it's in the wrong spot and the wrong size. We got a T17. A lot of beautiful cards that, they might be at the point that they're altered and basically garbage at this point, because, well, not necessarily garbage, but altered to the point that if you can't get that off, I think the thermal printer typically comes off pretty easily, as we'll see. There's some that have been scratched off, but this is some horrible stuff, guys. I don't understand. Oh, here we go. This one's real goofy. The font, a couple sizes too big. We got a shiny Magikarp turned into a first edition. And last but not least here, before we move on, we will scroll through. I think it's important to scroll through to see if anyone... This is the part that sucks too, because it would be easy enough to contact all of these buyers if eBay didn't decide they wanted to make everything private. But it's private. So now, other than like some of these, which are on the seller end, it's not going to do us any good to know who sold to him, other than the fact that we can verify the fact that he's just buying unlimited cards and stamping those same cards. So pretty friggin' ridiculous. Lots of money here, and then it gets to a certain point that we can't even check the listings themselves. We could probably punch those into the Wayback Machine to get the actual listing information, but it really sucks. But maybe the FBI and eBay can work to find these people. Like, there's certain stuff here that's $20-25, but a lot of the more expensive stuff is not a lesson that people want to learn. I mean, there's a lesson for everyone to learn here, but then we get into, again, with the Tommy Hilfiger nonsense at the beginning. So whose eBay accounts was he using to... Maybe he was buying the eBay accounts, but he was using his own name within the eBay account. So it's interesting. I don't know why he doesn't cover his trail at any point, but it's certainly going to catch up to him, and this is where it starts. All right, let's take a look at what our boy was buying. Thanks to Old School Pokemon here for pulling the order for Arjun here. You notice that he's buying a whole lot of non-first edition stuff. Weird, right? Well, not that weird, because He's buying those so he can put stamps on them. Should be pretty obvious at this point. If it's not obvious enough, we have some DMs here where he is looking to trade. He says, if you have any friends with any high grades, unlimited, non-first, shadowless Charizards who would want to trade, let me know, or who have any unlimited Neo Hollows. I wonder why he wants those. So, again, credit to CGC for catching this stuff. The added first edition stamp, and it's weird. I guess I don't know the entire story. I'll have to check in to see if CGC actually followed up with this, because if you have somebody submitting cards that are altered this way, you got to find out who did it, where it came from. Do they know Arjun exists? Do they watch the videos enough to know to have him on a ban list already? This wasn't submitted by Arjun, but this is somebody that Arjun sold and or traded to. And then once they submit to CGC, oopsie doopsie, your first edition stamp isn't real. And then the same case with all of this stuff. So when you have this many examples, CGC at this point in time should be doing an investigation. Again, I don't know if they are or not. If they'd like to discuss with me and help with the investigation, they are welcome to do so. Same with any of the other grading companies. I'm not particularly a fan of grading itself, as you guys probably know, but I am a fan of getting rid of scammers, and this is what this is about more than anything. I don't necessarily value their opinion more than my own. I don't think you should either, but at the same time, if they're going to be handling all this stuff and authenticating it or sending it back, I think they need to play a role in the assistance of everyone involved, whether it's the people that graded with them or the other people. I think it's a huge value added to the community itself for them to be able to crack down on these scammers that are taking advantage of others. This one in particular, taking advantage of many people, taking advantage of the grading companies, so they should already have a little bit of a motive to take action on this, or to at least assist in shutting this down, because this isn't good for anyone. Not even Arjun, because I mean, sure, it's good for his pocketbook in the meantime, but at the same time, you're committing fraud, and there's definitely going to be repercussions. Here we have an example of a Blastoise with one of his fake stamps on it, the fake Arjun first edition boy, and here it is with it scratched off. So once again, not great, guys. Not great. Absolutely not great. You gotta double check what you're looking at, and we need to get rid of these people that are going to take advantage of others. eBay needs to have a better system, and no, it's not by regrading the graded cards. The system needs to be shut down the scammers. This is an easy shutdown. This should have been an easy shutdown for everyone involved. I'm willing to work with them. Whether they like my opinions on their grading companies or not is indifferent. This is more about making sure that people aren't buying this shit. And as we saw, they were graded anyway, so it's not a catch-all, be-all, end-all to just have something graded for authenticity. You need to know what you're looking at if you're buying this expensive stuff. And the more expensive it gets, the more it's going to turn into sports cards, where there's more people trimming, faking, altering, whatever they got to do. This isn't the end. There's more that I'm looking into right now with other sketchy dealings, and will be future episodes. I want to make all of this very public. I want to provide all the information for you guys to be able to make sound decisions and to protect each other, protect the new people just the same. Call this stuff out, and we got to get rid of this stuff. There's no point like sweeping it under the rug. That's not doing anyone any favors. Sure, I'm going to have people that are like, oh no, you're hurting the hobby. You're hurting the value of all cards by showing that there's fake cards and people doing wrong things. No, that doesn't matter. None of it matters. What matters is we prevent this shit from happening. Arjun should not be still ripping people off, and he's still ripping people off. So if we update, since the investigation, since he's been He's been called out by AGS. He is still listing things. He's still auctioning off the slabs. So it's just getting worse, guys. It's getting worse. We need to resolve this. We need to reach out to anyone and everyone possible that's buying this stuff. As you can see here, this was a recent update, and then this is the current time. And he's got lots on there. There's some of it that's sold. We got auctions that are running right now. For a Blastoise, for a Mewtwo. Jesus Christ, that stamp is like on top of the Psychic Energy. For a Venusaur. For a Ninetales. For a Tyranitar. And a Chansey. So he's obviously not learned his lesson. He's not backtracked at any point here. And it's okay. We're going to fix this. And he's making more of a mess for himself. It was a little bit weird that Charizard Gold Star was the only fake card that he sold, that I've caught him with. But it seems like he's still making fake cards. I don't know how you would think that you would pass these to the grading companies. It's a little bit of a stretch. You might be getting a little bit brave, a little bit bold at this point in time, when you start sending University Magikarps, Illustrators, and Protostoises and flashing these in front of the grading company. Like, you're going to show them that those are in your next submission. They don't just come out of thin air. Like, typically, they're all tracked down. Everyone knows where they came from. You can't just print your own like this and think that you can pass them by. If anyone can't tell from these images, the 3 cards here are clearly fake. Protostoiz even has an extra prototype arm here where he's got white underneath it. So I'm not sure exactly what he's using. I'd like to get a hold of some of these fake Arjun cards, but I would imagine it's much like the Charizard Gold Star. If you look at the P-hole, if you look at it under magnification, or even close enough in person with your phone or whatever, you're going to see that there's glaring issues with the print, because they're not printed. They're not the real thing. They're printed after the fact. They're printed by other means, and they're going to look like shit under magnification. In this picture here, you can still tell they're fake, but at the same time, they don't look nearly as bad. You can put them in, you put them in some plastic and you can't really tell as much. Are people still going to fall for this? Probably. But hopefully it doesn't even get to this point. I have a feeling he's going to be shut down long before he can start selling his Illustrators and Protostoises, because he's already fucked way too many people. Arjun, fuck off. Let's look at a couple more examples of the fake stamps here. We have a Ninetales. You can see that the first edition stamp does scratch off thermal printer life, and the Giovanni's Persian as well. Now, interesting enough, our boy Arjun here, it doesn't seem like somebody that would need to or that would want to be counterfeiting Pokemon cards or altering Pokemon cards, committing fraud for what is probably, like I said, over $100,000, I would imagine, at this point in time. What seems like a college professor who works in ethics is scamming people for Pokemon cards for lots of money. Does this make sense? No, not really. And it kind of shocks me a little bit that he's as dumb of a criminal as he is, because he's left a huge trace behind every step of the way. Everything is just kind of there. Everything's laid out. I don't know if he thinks that he can't get in trouble for it, but he certainly can, and he certainly will. Arjun, I know you don't want to pick up the phone, but I suggest you do. We should have a chat about this. Maybe there's something you can do. Maybe you can make it right. Maybe it doesn't have to get worse than it is. But I don't know. I don't understand the motive behind it. Is it just that he doesn't have money? And so this was like a quick way to scam some bucks? But at the same time, you have posts like this. This was back in 2016. Maybe now he's non-ethical. The non-ethics lab is what he's running now. So it says here, it was great to have Nest Matt drop by my Foundations of Design course in Ethics Lab. Students are now all inspired. Great. We got the Ethics Lab here. Ethical expertise plus design methodology for rapidly changing, morally complex world. So it's a lot of like social justice stuff mostly, it seems. But also just like ethics in general. You would think that not ripping people off would be at the top of the list. Fraud, probably, you know, the polar opposite of what you would do in an ethics lab, I would think. So maybe he's left the ethics life behind. And, I mean, even being like a co-founder of the ethics lab. How do you co-found an ethics lab and then rip people off with counterfeit, you know, modified Pokemon cards for thousands of dollars? I don't get it. I don't get it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. It seems pretty self-destructive, but your guess is as good as mine. I'd love to talk to you, Arjun. Pick up your phone. We're going to talk about this. We're going to figure it out. There's no reason that you should be doing this. Maybe you can make it right, but I kind of doubt it. There's a lot of money now. Does he still have that money? Probably not, because he was taking the money and spending it on more cards to alter and then sell to people. Or more counterfeit products. Counterfeit wrap. Probably buying the boxes, the vintage WotC boxes, empty, filling them with God knows what, maybe ethics, filling them with ethics textbooks or something, chopping them up, putting them in there. Unreal. Let's take a quick look at Arjun's submissions here at AGS. We have Charizards, lots of Charizards, and you know, that adds up. This is, I guess, what he's been snowballing with his fake sales. $20 submissions. You can see here we got the declared value, which is certainly far less than what the actual value for what he's selling these things for. I mean, I don't know if they just let you put whatever value. I'm not totally familiar with that process. But yeah, interesting enough. I guess you just put $500 USD value for all of these. We got Blastoises. We got Venusaurs. We got Mewtwo's, Chanseys, Hitmonchan. These poor shadowless cards. Getting stamped with very fake stamps. Magneton even. Gotta get the Magneton in there. Poliwrath, Raichu, Ninetales for a couple. We got an Alakazam there. Zapdos, and then even we're even getting into, we got the Squirtles, the Charmanders. Got a Pikachu here. Can't tell. I guess we could zoom in. Not a big deal. Here's our Gym Heroes, Giovanni's Persian that we looked at previously. Order number 2. Order number 2. Again. ArjunIsADick. We got that off screen a little bit. But ArjunIsADick@gmail.com. The email, yes, it is, the email itself is, the name of the email is a joke. The fact that you should send your information to it, not a joke. So here, in this one here, we got Charizard, Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, and then, you know, a Red Cheeks, you know, you'd slap a mean first edition stamp on that bad boy. And you're looking at quite a bit more money. Not so much in previous times, but these days, quite a bit more. Here, this one's interesting. We got the 1997 Pokemon Top Sun 006 no number. Very interesting. So this is a little bit different than the rest of his stuff because this is just a fake card. We've looked at fake Top Sun Pokemon cards before. Not totally sure. I'd like to get clarification on whether or not this is just one of those bootleg ones that you can buy in mass, or if this was something that he created himself, since there are some fake cards that he had, like that Charizard Gold Star, for example, that he made from scratch, or the Protostoys, or whatever else. I guess the Illustrator. So making fake cards, making expensive fake cards, gotta reach for the stars, right? Dragonite, Snorlax, Lapras, Slowking. So there's the other WotC Hollows. Stamps added to those bad boys. You gotta believe. So once AGS completed their investigation, they found that for both of Arjun's orders, surprise, surprise, all of the cards were either trimmed, colored, fake stamped, or simply fake. Top Sun Charizard that we looked at there being the fake example. And then I'm sure they would have received more fakes if that one passed. And almost 30K in declared value, but as we see here, where the value is 500 on a lot of this stuff, that it's clearly not 500 on the Charizards and such. I'm not sure what these go for, but yeah, 500 is a stretch. You see here that these don't have a grade yet because they weren't graded. These were submit, but before being graded, they caught the fact that he was scammeroniing. So I guess another point here is where he's intentionally creating and selling these to people, or altering and selling to people. It is extremely important that they aren't returning altered cards to him. In this example here, because he's just going to sell or try to grade through someone else, sell on another eBay account if that one gets shut down, which it almost certainly will, or in person like he's been doing. He's been doing trades, trading the fake stamps for cards that he can stamp, and cycling through. So it's hard to say. He certainly owes a lot of money to these people at this point in time. Again, the cards that are at the grading companies now, that anything that he has there's a good chance that regardless of whether or not they decide, which they shouldn't, they absolutely shouldn't return them, but there's a good chance that they need to be turned over to the FBI as evidence as well. So when all is said and done, yeah, hopefully this stops. And I mean, it sucks that an example needs to be made here, but I think an example needs to be made here. Once again, thank you everyone that tuned in, both my premiere people and viewers who couldn't make it. Please inform everyone that you can about this. Especially if you see any of the cards mentioned, refer them either to this video or even just tell them to send all their information to, once again, ArjunIsADick@gmail.com. It's a funny email, but it's going to work. It's effective. That way everything stays in a nice, concise, organized inbox, and I can forward everything to the appropriate location, whether it be the grading companies or the FBI, or both. And I guess both in most cases. If it's raw cards, let's get those sorted out. Whether we can do that through eBay or the FBI. And we'll get the graded copies sent to the grading companies for a refund. So I'll find out more about that, get some instructions, figure out how we can solve that issue. Hopefully get a list of the cards that were graded by him at PSA. He was recommending that people send the cards to PSA, so we might see some issues. If you see something that looks a whole lot like his work, even if it wasn't his submission, it's probably a good idea to check Again, do not crack it out of the case if it's already graded, as that will kind of void your PSA guarantee or your AGS guarantee that they're going to cover you on. Yeah, happy hour, voice and or video chat tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. As always, every Saturday, we're in there hanging out, usually open some packs, talk some Pokemon, have a beverage of your choosing. And guys, remember, fuck the scammers and look after each other.